So, when you first applied for DACA, and your mom had applied for this visa, but it sounds like it kind of was just out in no man's land, and you guys had no idea what would come from it. What was it like for your family when you asked or told them about DACA and you wanting to apply for it?
So, this always makes me feel really old to say out loud, but like the internet was not the same at that time. It was still a little bit of a scary concept. I didn't want to just Google like, what do I have to do if I'm undocumented? Because I didn't really know where that information was going. And again, I don't come from a wealthy family, so the access to the internet that I did have was through like public libraries. So it's not like I wanted to go to a public library and type that information on into a public space that had my records as well. So I practically came home and I said, hey, like the government wants to know everything about us, and give them $500, and then maybe I'll be able to be here legally in the country for like 2 years. And then I have to do the whole process all over again. And my family was like, no, you're not doing that. That sounds crazy. And we're not risking all of our lives here in the States for you to maybe have a chance at not being legally here. Which made me feel really selfish. I struggled a lot with trying to figure out like why I was being okay with justifying spending money that we didn't have and putting my entire family at risk for a chance at being normal for 2 years. And yeah, sorry, my cat is here. She really likes to be here.
She wants to be on the movie.
So yeah, that was a little bit divisive for my family. My dad didn't support it up until like the last day. And then once we finally showed up, at the time they were still doing workshops for DACA at high schools and churches, and basically would show up and just wait in line for hours, waiting for someone to help you figure out how to sign the paperwork and how to send it. You could do it by yourself online, but English is my second language, and I'm the one that speaks it the best for my family, or at least I did at the time. So I wasn't super comfortable going online and looking at legal documents and going, yeah, I know what this is. Like, no, you need a law degree to go through those documents. There's no way that like a regular person is gonna go online and look at all these forms and be like, yeah, I know what to put in these things, especially when it's the first time that you're hearing that you like absolutely need a social security number. Hey, I have to put you in a different room if you don't relax. So it was pretty divisive, and it did suck up until the point where my actual permit came in, and then that's when my family was like, okay, cool, we can celebrate this. But it was 2 months of us on edge, and like basically anything that I did was, oh, you are like focusing on yourself and you're doing what you think is good for you and not for the whole family. And like to an extent I believe that might have been a cultural thing, but at the same time I'm like, I get it. Like as a parent now, like I don't know what I would have done if Max was in my shoes. I want to believe that I would have supported him to like no end, and that I would have stood up and said, yeah, let's go find the money and let's go find ways to help you apply. But I also don't know what I would have done. I think my parents did with the best what they could with the information that they had and with the resources that they had. And I think that that's all that undocumented parents can really do. They're like living in this country that has a different language from them, different cultures and different ways of living. And on top of that, like their whole existence and their families are endangered just by being here. So at that age, I really struggled with my parents not agreeing immediately with me and celebrating my decision to apply for DACA. I think that I've changed my perspective on that a bit since then.
There's one thing I know about you, I feel like, just from knowing you and hearing your story before, is that I feel like your life has been like a roller coaster where you are like, because you're so smart and you're so talented. And so you have these like, people are wanting you to do these things, and then you find out like you're undocumented, then you get DACA, and then the Trump administration takes it away, you know, and so you've had these just like moments of highs and these moments of lows. And I'm just curious, like in all of that, how have you maintained hope in the midst of all that struggle, or have you?
I think the first years were really hard because I was by myself. I don't think that people realize, or at least there's not enough focus on how lonely undocumented life is, because you can't share that with everybody. Now I think it's a little bit different, but I mean, I grew up in the early 2000s, and I like remember when I found out that I was undocumented, it was this huge deal. And my parents were like, you can't tell other adults what's happening. Like, don't trust your friends because they might tell their parents, and we don't know their parents' views. Like, your friends might love you a whole lot right now, but like, you don't know the politics behind it. So like, I know that you like feel comfortable with your friends and you feel comfortable with your teachers, but like, make sure that you don't share this with anyone. So it was this like really big, heavy, scary secret that I had that I felt like I couldn't share with people. And on top of that, I like didn't really know what the secret like entitled me to. Like, I didn't know what it meant specifically. Like, I had a vague idea of like not having a social security number is bad, but like I didn't fully understand. We moved here when I was like 2.5, 3 maybe. So like at that moment, you don't really have a concept of borders. They don't really exist. You're just in a different house, in a different place. And even in like my early teens, I was like, what does that really mean? Like, it's just a country over. Like, just like neighborhoods are just a neighborhood over. Why is it such a big deal that I'm not from this part of the border? So I don't think I really got it. So it was really lonely to experience by myself and not be able to share that with anybody or tell them why I wasn't doing the things that I felt like I was supposed to be doing, like getting a license or applying for colleges. So like that aspect of it was really terrible. I think that hope came in when I started to build a community and when I started to realize that I'm not alone in this path of being undocumented and then being a DACA recipient and then being here on a visa. And while I trust the visa that I have, and I know that like it is a path to citizenship eventually, at this point it's like I really feel like anything could happen. So I feel like I've always been on this time limit of like, you got to prove that you are here and you got to prove that you are good for being here. And that's exhausting to do if you don't have people like helping you through that. So I think the biggest thing that has like motivated me to continue to do this work and continue to explore better ways and better paths to create a path to citizenship for more people has been the community that I have and being able to be a part of building that. I started volunteering for a nonprofit here in San Diego to help people apply for DACA. And I mostly started doing it because my first time applying for DACA was very traumatic. I like went into a room and there was a bunch of white people in suits and there was Border Patrol agents for some reason. So I like panicked and I was like, it was a trap and everyone was right except me. And it was just overall a terrible, terrible experience. And I didn't want other kids to like not be applying to DACA out of the same fear that I felt once I was in the actual room. Mm-hmm. So I figured like, okay, if they see like another person of color in the room and someone that understands their native language, like this transition might be a little easier for people. And once I started realizing that like I faced all those emotions by myself, but I wasn't actually alone. I think that made the journey a little easier. Mm. And being able to see that like I'm not the only person that has gone through that process, and I'm not the only person that like has been undocumented or has gone through DACA or has had traumatic experiences because of DACA, really helped. I think that like we should be focusing a little bit more on the community that we're building for undocumented people. and be able to uplift that community a little bit more, just because, like I said, it's really lonely. So seeing people that like look like you and have lived through things like you and have experienced similar things, I think that really helps.
Yeah. I love that so much about you, that you, when you have experienced something difficult, your immediate and like just natural response is to prevent other people from experiencing that. And I think that is a rare quality and something that I'm really grateful for in you. So thank you so much, Nohemi, for sharing this little part of you with us. And we're just really grateful to get to know and learn from you.
Thank you.